Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Daniel. I sell used golf clubs and golf bags on eBay for a profit. And this week was the biggest week of my eBay career that has lasted now almost over 2 years. And for the first time, I finally feel like I'm playing offense on eBay. And it's all because I changed two settings that allowed me to sell over 10 items this week on eBay. And I brought in $699 of pure profit. That was my net income for this week with an ROI of 133% and a 46% profit margin. Before I dive into my top 10 sales this week and the two things that I changed in order to drive higher sales on my eBay store, I do just want to take a moment and let you all know that the purpose of this channel and these videos is to give you a completely transparent look at what you could possibly make reselling items on eBay. I don't want you to quit your job and go out there and think that you can make hundreds of dollars a week on eBay. It is entirely possible. But what I'm recommending to you is if you're nervous about reselling on eBay, if you've thought about selling things on eBay, I would challenge you to take the leap and try. If you're sitting at home and you're watching this at work or on the computer and you're thinking, gosh, I really wish I would know how or what to resell on eBay, watch this video, take a minute to gain some courage and some tenacity or audacity and take the leap and list something. For me, I started playing golf about 3 years ago. I am absolutely terrible. I would not consider myself a good golfer at all, but I know a little bit about golf clubs and wanted to learn more about golf clubs. And so I started researching them and looking on eBay for what was selling as far as golf club goes when I was trying to get in the game and purchase clubs for myself. And I made a huge mistake and bought a $700 iron set before I had even taken a golf lesson, when I could have just gone on eBay and bought used clubs and learned how to play golf. And so what I'm trying to say is that reselling on eBay is very easy if you're knowledgeable at about a certain subject. So if you're knowledgeable about baseball bats or baseball gloves or golf, if you dive into that specific niche and start looking at the comps and costs for certain used items that you find, it is entirely possible to make a profit selling those items on eBay. With all that being said, I'm going to dive into the sales from last week, and then I'm going to tell you the two things that I changed that finally allowed me to feel like I'm playing offense on eBay instead of waiting for sales to come to me. So last week, I made $699 of net income on eBay, which is absolutely mind-blowing for me. It was my first week that I sold 12 items, and quite frankly, I was overwhelmed at the amount of sales that I made. I have a full-time job, I have 3 kids, I have a gorgeous wife, and I spent a lot of time last week boxing golf clubs and bringing them back and forth to the UPS store. So net income last week was $699. My ROI was 133%, and then my profit margin was 46%. So my goal is to stay in a profit margin between 40 and 50%, and I hit it right on the head this week. I'm going to post another video later in the week showing the new clubs that I bought this past week, and I bought some really amazing stuff, so stay tuned for that video. But right now we're going to dive into my top 10 items that I sold this past week. So I'm going to go in ascending order from net income. So what I technically brought home from the sales after all the eBay fees and everything, what I'm bringing home as a result of that club that I sold. Okay, the 10 best sale that I had last week was this Cleveland Zipcore 50-degree wedge. I bought this for over $43, so $43.42, and I sold this for $71.99 plus $15 of shipping, which brings me a net return of $19.13. I bought a lot of wedges this previous week, and I find that wedges sell very quickly, especially if they have unique lofts. This one was a more modern wedge that isn't as old. A 50-degree wedge sells pretty well. More higher lofted wedges, so when you get into the 60s and 64s and you're basically calling those flop wedges, those wedges sell very well because you have a lot of golfers out there that are trying to chip onto the green and have the ball land coming off of a high arc gently onto the green, and those higher lofted wedges generally sell a lot faster. Okay, my number 9 sale of the week was this wedge set. This is a SM6 56 and 60-degree wedge. I bought these both for $63.69. I sold them for $128 even. That was an offer of $110 plus $18 in shipping. My net return here was $29.21 for an ROI of 46% and a net profit margin of 23%. Okay, this next club that I sold, which was my number 9 club, was a Cleveland chipper. So a chipper is a club that you hit with a putting stroke to pop a ball gently onto a green, so then you can putt and finish the hole. I bought this for $19.59 at a Golf Galaxy, and I sold this for $55, which was $40 plus $15 shipping. I did accept an offer on this. My net return here was $18.16, and my ROI was 93%, so net profit margin was 33% on this one. Okay, the next club up was this Ping G20 Black Dot Sand Wedge. So if you don't know about Ping clubs, they have a dot system that dictates the lie angle or loft angle of the club. Black dot is standard, but you can have purple, orange, white. There is a great flavor of different colors and options for lie angles that dictate the adjustment of the lie angle of the club. Black dot is standard, which means it's probably the most popular. And if you're looking for clubs, you'll probably pick up black dots as they are more applicable to a wider audience or consumer group. I bought this club for $21.72 from a Golf Galaxy. I sold it for $75.61, which was $50 even plus $25.61 in shipping. If you've noticed, a couple of clubs ago, I had $15 even shipping, and this is a much higher shipping rate. I live in Texas, which is a very centralized location as far as shipping costs go. I wanted to start paying my cost savings onward or towards my customers. So I changed throughout last week my shipping rate to $15 even, because most times with eBay's discount, especially with UPS that I ship through, I can sell or send and ship most things for less than $15 easily. So I still end up making a couple of extra dollars on $15 of flat shipping, and on this one especially, I made quite a bit more than that due to the calculated shipping and then the discount that I did get. So as far as this club goes, my net return is $32.61, which is an ROI of 150% and a net profit margin of 43%. Okay, next up is this King Cobra stand bag. It had a 7-way divider in it. A lot of people do not like selling golf bags on eBay because shipping is quite expensive with golf bags, but I generally sell my bags for anywhere between $20 and $30, except for something like this, which is a truly unique staff bag. I listed this one for $30. It actually went into a bidding war in an auction. It got up to $38, and then shipping was $32.57. So almost as much was spent on shipping as the bag itself. As far as this club goes, my net return was $40.76. My ROI is unlimited because I technically didn't put any money down on this. I put all the costs that I spent on the irons that I sold that came with this bag. So net profit margin was 58%. All right, my next club is this Ping I2. There's the black dot again, right in the middle of this wedge, sand wedge. I bought this club for $10.81, which is pretty cheap for a Ping wedge. I sold this one for $74.99. That was $59.99 plus $15 shipping. There's the even shipping adjustment that I did make. The cost to ship ended up being only $9.05, so I did make a couple extra dollars on shipping here, but my net return was $41.74 for an ROI of 386%. My net profit margin was 56% here. What I do want to stop and point out is that I am a freak when it comes to Ping golf clubs. I love Ping golf clubs. I think they're one of the best manufacturers out there. And the reason why is because their clubs hold their value so exceptionally well. This club, for instance, sold for quite a bit of money. It is exceptionally old. I want to say more than 10, 12 years old, and it's still selling out there for $74. So this was an awesome pickup for me and a really great net profit. This is something that you want to keep your eye out for. This is another chipper. This is an Odyssey chipper. Odyssey is also a brand that is very commonly known for their putters. I bought this for $24.89. I almost walked out of the PGA store without going by the putter section. I walked past this actually twice before it caught my eye, so I picked it up for $24.89 and I sold it for $94.99. That's $79.99 plus $15 in shipping. My cost of ship was $6.53, so that is another way that, again, I have made a couple extra dollars on shipping, but I'm trying to decrease the amount of money I'm making on shipping because I want to give that discount to the buyer as much as possible. My net return is $46.82, the ROI 188%, and net profit margin here was 49%. So really awesome sale for a chipper, which again is just an easier club that they can bump a ball onto the green with instead of trying to hit it with a wedge. The next set that I bought was this Titleist AP1 712 iron set. Anytime that you can buy a Titleist AP1 iron set for around $150, it's always going to double up for you. I bought this for $123.13 and sold this for $315 plus $24.46 in shipping. The net return on this was $155.93 for an ROI of 127% and a net profit margin of 46%. So I do want to stress here that if you can find iron sets for an affordable price, it's probably my favorite thing to flip, as the PGA Tour especially prices their irons based off of the year they were manufactured. And this was an absolute steal for me because what the PGA store prices them at does not compete with what eBay prices them at. So that's my bread and butter flip. It's buying iron sets at the PGA Tour Superstore for about $150 to $175 and then selling them for $250 to $300 plus, depending on what they go for on the used market, which generally is much higher than what you can find at the PGA Tour Superstore. I do need to add a caveat here. The next two clubs, set and driver, that you do see, I got for free. And I don't expect you to get anything for free when you're out there, and I'm going to walk you through how I got each one. This Callaway club set was actually my wife's grandfather's. He is now too old to play golf, and these ended up coming home with my wife to me as we were moving things out of their house. So I got this for free. I sold this set for $117.92. That was $100 even plus $17.92 shipping. So again, that's calculated shipping, as I didn't go through and complete all of the $15 flat rate shipping changes that I did throughout that week. My cost to ship here was $11.26. Net return was $89.15. So profit margin here was 76%. And I'm truly grateful to have sold these clubs because I get to pass them on to somebody that is going to use them and play instead of having them sit in the garage where they had been. Okay, the best sale of the week was this Ping G425 LST driver. This was my personal driver, and as I got into the game of golf, I bought this exceptionally expensive driver, having no business trying to hit it at all. This is a low spin driver, which means it's not very forgiving, and you have to hit it right on the nose to get an absolute bomb out there on the fairway, and I can tell you that that is not in my repertoire as far as my golf game goes. I sold this for $229.57, which is $199 and $30.57 of shipping, but my shipping cost again was only $9.05. So again, I'm working on passing on that discount to my customers to make my items listed on eBay more viable and competitive out there. I do need to come clean here. I actually bought a new driver, which is something that we need to talk about when I was in a PGA store. So the itch to buy things for yourself will happen in your resale journey. I came across a Cobra Aerojet driver that was only $220. I decided to pick it up for myself and spend money on myself. And in the back of my mind, I knew that I could sell this driver to pay for it. So I consider this a wash because I bought that other driver. I also have the temptation to buy new golf polos when I'm in these stores. And it's something that is a real temptation out there. So I'm working to stop buying frivolous things and keep my focus on the resale journey. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to reward yourself for the profit that you're getting for your hard work. But I'm working to reinvest all my money back into my resale journey so that I can continue to build this content for y'all, and hopefully it's helping somebody out there. Okay, so those are my top 10 sales for the week. Now I want to go through the things that I changed that I think really drove my sales this past week to levels that I had never seen before. The first thing that I changed is that I switched from auctions to buy it now. And the reason I did this is I bought a Titleist iron set last week, and I got it home and committed the cardinal sin. I looked at it and realized that the 6 iron did not match the entire rest of the set. It was a set of Titleist AP2 712s, and the 6 iron was just a set of Titleist AP2s, period. So I went on to Amazon, and gosh, not Amazon, I went on to eBay and bought a AP2 712 from somebody on another eBay store. I clicked buy it now. There it was. There was no negotiation. It actually turned out being a friend's eBay store that I have met over Instagram, and I had no idea that it was his store. And he messaged me on Instagram later and said, "Hey, I saw in a reel or you posted that the 6 iron didn't match, and I think it's really cool that you bought this from me." And I responded and said that he had completely changed my perspective, that the buy it now model is much more viable and enjoyable. We live in a culture where you can go on to Amazon and buy anything and have it delivered at your house like literally hours later. I get diapers delivered at my front door at like 4 a.m. for my son. And it is instant gratification. You pull the trigger, it's on its way. There's no negotiation, there's no back and forth. It is boom, easy, done. So I have transitioned on my eBay store to sell everything as buy it now or best offer. And I've got a lot of lowball offers, but I am more often picking up my phone and seeing that someone has pulled the trigger on something instead of me having to wait 7 days for an auction to expire and for people to bid at the last minute. And it really has changed the traffic that I'm seeing across all of my listings on eBay right now. The second thing that I changed, and not to beat a dead horse here, I went in and changed calculated shipping on all of my listings to flat rate $15 shipping. And the reason I did that is to make my listings more competitive to the customers and population out there that are looking to buy used clubs. If I can cut down on shipping, I can probably sell more clubs because I'm saving the buyer from spending more money that could put that club out of their price range. I think that I still will end up making a couple extra dollars on shipping just due to the boxes that I'm shipping in, just due to my location in the country. I don't think it's viable or even a good option if you're just starting out on eBay and reselling things and dealing with shipping for the first time. Calculated shipping is the way to go. It's safe. It generally gives you more buffer in case you have a box that's heavier than you expected, in case you have a box that's bigger than you expected. But once you get a good grasp on what your cost should be from shipping, then I think that being more aggressive and dialing your shipping down to help pass that discount that we get as sellers through eBay forward will help sell more items for sure. When you've set up and moved away from the auction format to the buy it now format, you can see how many people are watching that item, and then you can choose to go in and make an offer to those people that are watching those items. So for instance, if I had 10 people watching a club and I went in there and I had it listed for $90 and I went ahead and made an offer to all of those people for $80, somebody may come back and either counter me or see that I'm trying to make the sale and went ahead and discounted the club, and it can cause them to pull the trigger and then go off and buy that club. And it, for the first time, has felt like instead of me just waiting for somebody to bid on a club in an auction setting, someone's listening to me playing offense, going out there and saying, hey, I'm willing to deal here. I still know where I have to be as far as making my profit margin of that 40 plus to 50%. And I can give you a $10 discount here. Would you like to make this sale? And make the offer. And I sold at least 3 clubs out of the 12 that I sold last week, making an option on the last, or an offer on the last couple of days of the week, and then getting them to accept. And sometimes we went to a back and forth. And as long as I still had that profit margin, I went ahead and made the sale, which has allowed me to buy a great number of the clubs that you see behind me that I'm going to post another video on later in the week to show y'all which clubs I buy, what I bought them for, and why I bought them, so that y'all can continue to learn and hopefully help you grow in your reselling journey as well. If you stayed this long, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something. If you could, like or leave a comment down below, and I will post another video later this week to continue informing you on my selling journey and hopefully giving you some tips and tricks along the way. Thanks so much.